Hello, Kirby again, as we launch into the 8th episode of Zoo Crew Revue, where we will be reviewing the 7th issue of Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew, and pair it with the classic Looney Tunes short, Devil May Hare. Let's get started with the cover, penciled and inked by Scott Shaw. Sword and sorcery at its furriest. Captain Carrot and his amazing zoo crew versus Bow-Zar the Barkbarian. So we have a really fun cover of Pig Iron fighting Bow-Zar as the rest of the zoo crew watch in a black and white dungeon. The dungeon being specifically black and white, I take as a nod to Roy Thomas's extensive work on the Savage Sword of Conan, which is the genesis of this whole issue. And the cross-hatching for the dungeon on the cover I think is great to add depth and texture, which is the key difference between this and the gray backgrounds that I complain about on 4 for 4, where those just are gray and flat and dull. So let's start with the pertinent data. This had a cover date of September 1982, an on sale date of June 1st, 1982. Written by Roy Thomas and Scott Shaw, guest penciled by Stan Goldberg, inked by Frank Chiamonte, lettered by Tim Harkins, colored by Tom Zucco, and edited by Dick Giordano. Before I start the issue, I just have to say that while I think Goldberg does a good job as guest penciler, I hate Frank Chiamonte's inks, who just destroys art like Kurt Swan's in the early 80s. And he's lucky that Vince Colletta exists, or he would be the inking go-to punching bag. We open with a splash page, the coming of Bow-Zar the Barkbarian. The zoo crew is teleported in by Alley Cat Tabra as always, with Captain Carrot saying, "You know, gang, I'm starting to like the idea of making Follywood our permanent address." "Me too, since Rubber Duck and I live here anyway. Until we get our own headquarters, staying in Burt Reynolds' pad isn't too shabby either."
"Yeah, how come I ain't met no Follywood starlets yet?"
So I'm guessing that Pig Iron hasn't had any luck trying to get with Sigourney Beaver. As the zoo crew are making their way back to Bird Reynolds' house, tourists misname Captain Carrot and Yankee Poodle much to their annoyance. And we get some good gags. Follywood Star Hunters bus. You name 'em, we'll track 'em down. And a sign saying maps of the stars' homes. Also, which ones will let you use their bathroom. A literal weasel of an agent is trying to sign some poor aspiring actress up for a contract, whom will unfortunately probably go down the way of Mulholland Drive when his attention is turned to the zoo crew, first trying to sign up Rubber Duck.
"Hi there, Rubber Duck. I'm Ermine Swiftly Lafleur, and I can make you a star. Sign here."
"Sorry, I've already got a job, and as it turns out, an agent, namely Ermine Swiftly Lafleur." And to no avail with Captain Carrot or Fastback, he finally goes, "How about you, Hog Wild?"
"The name's Pig Iron, and I'll bite when you remember my right name. You'll find me at Bird Reynolds' pad."
But he'll never let me near his place, how will I? Why not try one of the tour buses, Lafleur? Preferably one in Australia. In the first panel of page 3, Captain's Carrot cape is missing, which is an example of the art problems that exist in this issue. As they arrive at Rental's house, they are greeted by a stranger who introduces himself. "Why, I'm Ezra Hound, a writer pal of Bird's." And if Ezra Hound wasn't going to be a full-on Robert E. Howard riff, he could have been blended a little more to be Bird Rental's friend, Hal Needham. Rubber Duck reminds Captain Carrot that he can vouch for the writer's identity and give the excuse that Rentals is on vacation, so again, a little lip service to secret identities. So, I'll take it. Hound begins to explain to the crew why he's feeling down. "You see, I met Bird when I was writing a movie, but mostly I'm known as the writer and creator of Bow-Zar the Barkbarian, the most famous sword and sorcery hero around." "So how come y'all look about as happy as a possum that fell down a foxhole? Ain't your little old book sailing?" "Oh, they are, Mr. Turtle. That's just the problem." "Some problem? I'll bet even Truman Coyote'd like to be in your shoes."
"Bowser, heh, compared to me, you hears nothing but a paperback pipsqueak
like Peter Porkchops. Well, I'm tired of Bow-Zar myself. That's why I plan to kill him off in the story I'm writing now, so I can go back to being a serious poet."
"So waste 'em. What's your hang-up, Hound?" What Pig Iron means in his subtle way is that if you want to quit writing about Bow-Zar, nobody can make you, right?
Hound explains that he's been having constant nightmares for weeks of Bow-Zar literally trying to chase him down and kill him, and has barely been able to sleep at all.
Now this is serious. Everybody's got to sleep.
They sure do. Why, I do it 12 hours every day. And with his Pig Iron offers to guard Hound while he sleeps, for $100 an hour, of course, as the two head off. Captain Carrot isn't so hot on Pig Iron using his powers for personal gain. But Yankee Poodle says that Hound can afford it, so no harm, no foul. And yes, of course, I did write foul, F-O-W-L, in my notes. We then cut to an ancient battleground as the narrator states,
Actually, it's not so much a matter of where the harm is as when. For at that very moment, and yet a zillion years ago, by means of one of those tintinabulating time paradoxes, known and loved by generations of comic mag readers, we find Bow-Zar.
Have to say that I love the design of Bow-Zar with the Mickey Mouse skull necklace, and in a joke that works best written down, he must be from the Hyborian age.
That's right, I'm bad. All my foes lay defeated before me. Yet there is one enemy I've not been able to battle, a nameless magician whose face hounds me day and night.
Bow-Zar is being taunted by a pink floating head of Ezra Hound.
Who is he? I must know. I, Bow-Zar, have defeated the raiders of Okolam, the Vikings of Minimusa, the Steelers of Pittsburgh, but I sense yonder wizard is the one foe who might destroy me. Well, I've defeated wizards before, and warlocks, and witches, and every other kind of magical menace that starts with a W. And I'll use my barbarian powers to track down the sorcerer whose jutting jowls haunt me every waking moment, no matter if he lies 1,000,000 miles or a zillion years away from me.
As we are then yada yada to get Bow-Zar teleport to modern day Los Antelopes, apparently driven by the anger of his visage, and for as brisk as this story moves, I kinda don't mind this narrative cheat.
By the great bird, my nameless enemy has dragged me to his own domain. A sunny clime, not unlike that where I laid waste to the fang-footed dolphins of Miami. A bit drier, mayhap.
And almost immediately, Bow-Zar is fawned over by a comely co-ed who is taken in by his shirtless, muscle-bound physique, asking if he wants to go back to her place to listen to some Bruce Springsteen records.
What? I, Bow-Zar the Barkbarian, take advantage of a wench without first rescuing her from some fearful foe? Never! First, I must do battle for your favors. Then I'll take advantage of you.
Well, okay, if that's what turns you on. Just don't strain anything important here.
Which, given that Coden sleeps with wenches at the drop of a hat, is a bit of a stretch, but hey, this is a kid's comic. In classic time display shenanigans, Bow-Zar is freaked out, mistaking a Ferrari for a dragon, so destroying the car and freaking its fleeing owner out in the process.
This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps.
Chasing the car's owner with his sword, yelling,
Stop! I would hold parley with you.
I'll send you a candygram!
Why did he run from me? I merely wished him to tell the lass I had rescued him, when she seemed a trusting sort, and I haven't coveted with a wench since breakfast, so... Hold, by all the trees in my native Barbaria, the wench nearly made me forget the craven conjurer who transported me here. I can sense him nearby, so I shall seek him out and slice him into sorceress sausages.
We then cut to Ezra Hound's condo. Pig Iron is impressed, but Ezra Hound can't wait to going back to being a major minor poet. And if Bow-Zar wasn't already around, Hound is just setting himself up to be miseried. Hound reads Pig Iron some of his latest work, which puts the porker right to sleep. And Hound thinks to himself as he's going off to bed, is trying to think of the ending of his story as the fictional Bow-Zar was climbing up the top of a tower, as the actual Bow-Zar is climbing up the side of his condo complex. Which really, this just brings to mind my favorite Conan story, The Tower of the Elephant. So, nice little subtle reference here. Bow-Zar bursts through the condo's window, terrifying Hound, who wishes he was dreaming, as Pig Iron sleeps right through the commotion.
Whoever you are, get out of here before I call a cop. Seek not to call your demons, wizard, or else my sword shall cleave your gizzard. I thought I was supposed to be the poet around here, but right now I'd rather be anywhere else. Help!
After what has probably been an hour, Pig Iron wakes up and immediately notices the wrecked condo.
Uh-oh, either something went wrong while I was counting my eyelids from the inside, or Ezra Hound's one heck of a sleepwalker! Gotta use my detective brows to figure out what happened here. Let's see now. That might be a clue.
As Pig Iron spots a fittingly cartoonish shaped hole of Bow-Zar, including his sword, through the condo wall, followed by a completely totaled elevator, and finally a torn up city street, but comes to the conclusion of
Ezra Hound went nutso, thinks he's Bow-Zar the Barkbarian, and is tearing up Beverly Hills. Zero Wolf's got nothing on this poor kind powerhouse.
But the zoo crew at Reynolds Pad get a phone call from Hound, who's terrified.
Me, I'm at the corner of Fairfax and Smelrose, so Bow-Zar, you want to know if I have any idea where he is?
And if Hound is at Smelrose Place, he can get up to all sorts of sexy shenanigans and backstabbings. As we turn to page 11, it's revealed that Bow-Zar has Hound trapped in a phone booth with so many cop cars and helicopters surrounding him, you'd think he got 5 stars on Grand Theft Auto.
Bow-Zar has cornered the sorcerer who wants to kill him off with the magic box he hits with his fingers. He tries to get more magical power now from funny-looking bone he talks into, but Bow-Zar won't let him. Beware, wizard, you are going to get...
Just then, the zoo crew teleport in, with Pig Iron catching up from behind, but Bow-Zar mistakes them for being the evil sorcerer Hound's underlings and attacks. They panicked Fastback, noting,
Might we should plot us up some strategy, Captain? Over the weekend, maybe?
And it's on this page, with the eyes of the zoo crew really looking like crap, that I just have to blame Chiamonte. He is not doing Goldberg any favors here. Bow-Zar slashes his sword at Captain Carrot, then Pig Iron gets behind his friend as the captain yells,
Duck!
Huh? I ain't no duck, I'm a big duck!
As Bow-Zar's fist comes colliding into his face, causing the two to begin brawling. Alley Cat Tabra animates a nearby bulldozer and scoops them both up, which then tosses them into a nearby studio. The Weasley Agent LaFleur comes back, but the zoo crew just barrel right past the nuisance to back up Pig Iron.
Hurry, Zoo Crew! Hurry's my middle name! No, wait! My middle name's Joe!
In the studio, Sprocket from issue 4 is filming Canine the Barkbarian with an actor named Arnie, who wants to get back into bodybuilding, and I just honestly hate this joke because it's a hat on a hat. We're already doing the Conan jokes. This is just too much. The captain's cape goes missing yet again. Thank you, Chiamonte. As they ruckus through the studio like it is the end of Blazing Saddles, Bow-Zar attracts the attention of a hippo blue jeans model. The zoo crew are concerned she may get hurt and also realize that they have completely lost track of Ezra Hound. Bow-Zar has taken the model to a nearby MacDonald's to climb the sign pole because...
Must find a high place to find the wizard who brought me to this strange country. The only way for Bow-Zar to triumph and to return to his own land is to destroy the wizard! Where are you, magician? Do not send your steel birds after me. It is you that Bow-Zar wants,
as a helicopter flies in the sky.
One thing about Bow-Zar, he's not a hard guy to keep track of.
After Fastback tries and fails to knock Bow-Zar off the pole, Alley Cat Tabra says she needs a clear shot, so Pig Iron starts shaking the pole, but Bow-Zar just jumps and grabs hold of the helicopter. As Bow-Zar climbs into the helicopter and sees the news crew,
What? The Flying Dragon 2 has devoured 3 innocent peasants?
As our newswoman quips, well, actually, I'm not that innocent.
Hurry! Leap to safety! Bow-Zar will smash this evil bird!
As he kicks them all out in midair. Alley Cat Tabra saves 2 of them by conjuring up parachutes, noting, I had to do something to make myself useful. I couldn't be sure you 2 would land on your feet like I could. As Yankee Poodle and Fastback actually work together using their reverse magnetism and super speed to slow the crushing helicopter down. Finally, Rubber Duck catches the reporter as Captain Carrot notes,
I think a malleable matinee idol caught her on the rebound.
Pig Iron and Captain Carrot note how the copter is total junk and that they've got to find Ezra Hound before Bow-Zar does, as Rubber Duck is plugging bird rentals to the reporter. Bow-Zar has tracked Hound into a nearby bank where the terrified writer has locked himself into the vault.
Not even hiding in a sacred tomb will keep the evil wizard safe from Bow-Zar. Now, wizard, prepare to meet your doom.
But the Weasel of Fur butts in again as he tries to become Bow-Zar's agent, but is just backhanded away by the Barkbarian. Rubber Duck stretches in and disarms Bow-Zar as Yankee Poodle immobilizes him. After all, what good's a whole passel of superheroes if they can't truss up one brainless barbarian?
Oh, you got him! Just when I was all set to waste him!
The Zoo Crew whisk away Hound and Bow-Zar back to the former's condo, where they finally are able to explain the situation peacefully to Bow-Zar. Shaking hands, Hound says,
I owe my fame and fortune, Bow-Zar. So, can't we be friends? Yes, as long as you don't try to kill off Bow-Zar again. I won't, I promise.
Then the two vanish back in time to the shock of the Zoo Crew, as LaFleur tracks them down yet again, but the Zoo Crew have just had enough and clobber the weasel. Our story ends with Bow-Zar in the midst of another Conan-esque epic battle as Ezra Hound works on his poetry.
You, little one, Bow-Zar brought you back here so you can take care of my weapons. Hand me my hack and stabber number 4 iron, and hurry! Sorry, Bow-Zar. I mean, I'm really glad to be here and all, but I'm in the middle of finishing up a poem. Wanna hear? Roses are red, violence is blue.
Wrapping up the main story, I have to say that at only 18 pages, it doesn't overstay its welcome, and while I wish that there were some more Conan story jokes, it is pretty funny overall. Even the deficiencies in the aren't real deal breakers, and I do believe that Bow-Zar does return at some point, and I definitely had a blast recording his voice. The last 7 pages of this issue are devoted to a proto Who's Who for the Zoo Crew, written and penciled by Scott Shaw, inked by Al Gordon, lettered by Tim Harkins, colored by Tom Zucco, and edited by Dick Giordano. And I'm not really going to get into real depth of these, as while they are all really well drawn and there are some cute gags, it is more factual than anything. However, of particular note is in Captain Carrot's entry, his full name is revealed to be Roger Rodney Rabbit to help ease the transition as the series will begin to call him by his middle name. The book Who Censored Roger Rabbit had already been out for about a year at this point, and I'm guessing DC wanted to avoid any possible litigation. And side note, I have read that book, and while the movie is demonstrably better, the book is worth seeking out for just how different it is, taking place in the modern day just to start. And also, I just want to do a quick call out for a great pun in Rubber Duck's entry as they call out Squint Beastwood. And in conclusion, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I think this was a real fun issue overall, and the Who's Who pages are worth checking out if you're interested. I think it was just a real nice breather, especially after the last 2 issues, which were much more epic in scope. And with that, let's get on to our Looney Tunes pairing. Devil May Hare was originally released June 19th, 1954, directed by Robert McKinson, story by Sid Marcus, produced by Edward Selzer, starring Mel Blanc, music by Mitt Franklin, animated by Herman Cohen, Phil Delara, Charles McKimson, and Rob Scribner. Since Looney Tunes never did a straight-up Conan the Barbarian parody, Bow-Zar's wave of destruction made me think of the Tasmanian Devil. And Taz is really the last of the major antagonists introduced for the shorts, and has been the case, was a spin on the previous big villain. While Marvin the Martian was calm and articulate, Taz was a barely intelligible force of nature. And Taz really sticks in my mind best from the mid-90s show Tasmania, where he and his newly created family were the focus of an Animaniacs type show, along with him appearing on a lot of t-shirts at that same time. Devil May Hare is the first of only 5 classic shorts with Taz in it, but he comes out fully formed. And our backgrounds in the short are really stylized so as to help the animators really focus on the character animation. The short opens with Bugs popping out of his rabbit hole to dump some spring cleaning, and as a menagerie of animals, including lions and tigers and bears, oh my, come stampeding by in fear. Bugs fails to stop any of them to explain what's going on until he places a shovel in the way of a turtle, whom I swear is the same design as Cecil Turtle. Maybe I'll do one of those shorts later down the line, who just yells, "The Tasmanian Devil's on the loose! Run for your lives!" as we see the ferocious animal just spinning right through a gigantic boulder. Bugs, not knowing what that is, looks it up in an encyclopedia which describes the Tasmanian Devil as a strong, murderous beast, with jaws as powerful as a steel trap and a ravenous appetite. Bugs then reads off some of the animals that it eats, but from behind, Taz scrolls in, "and rabbits," to the list. Turning around, Bugs clearly knows the score of what is about to go down, and he says he's too skinny to eat, and so he and Taz should go topside to get some groundhogs as an appetizer. Bugs tells Taz to use his shovel to start digging for them, as Bugs then shovels dirt right on top of Taz in his hole. As Bugs turns around, Taz, with his arms folded behind his back, delivers the killer line of,
"What for you bury me in the cold, cold ground?"
Bugs then creates a chicken out of liquid bubblegum and soda bicarbonate, where he then rings the lunch bell for Taz, whom immediately devours the whole thing. Taz starts hiccuping wildly, creating a gigantic bubble that then floats into the air before Bugs slingshots it down, causing Taz to bungee into a tree. Bugs then quickly and simplistically turns an inflatable raft to look like a little pig, which Taz of course eats, and Bugs pulls on the cord, causing Taz to turn into the shape of the raft. Bugs then creates a really poorly made deer grift to trick Taz, but Taz then chases Bugs up a tree. Taz starts bringing Bugs back to Earth by using his steel-trapped jaws to bite through the tree. Bugs then points out his deer and directs Taz towards a giant slingshot made out of a tree to knock it out. As Taz starts pulling back on the rubber band, Bugs saws the tree down, causing Taz to soar backwards and crash. As Bugs is just laughing at Taz, straight up Bambi appears, and Bugs warns him to flee, calling Taz every name you can think of, to which, standing behind him, Taz just notes,
"Flattery will get you nowhere."
It is here where I realized just how short Taz was. He's maybe half of Bugs' height. And finally, Bugs is able to lose Taz for a few seconds and calls Tasmania to look for a wife for Taz. The plane immediately arrives with the Lady Devil spinning out, and you know it's a bride because she has on red lipstick and a veil on. It's love at first sight for Taz, and Bugs quickly marries the two off as he sends them back up the plane to fly off. Bugs ends the short, turning to the audience saying, "All the world loves a lover, but in this case, we'll make an exception." So this is easily one of Bugs' more unique ways to best his foes by marrying him off and giving him a happy ending, which is more than Elmer Fudd or Yosemite Sam usually got. So I guess in conclusion, this is a really good short with some truly excellent line deliveries by Mel Blanc, and while it might not be a top fiver, it is well worth your time to watch if you haven't seen it already. So I got nothing left to say, but that's all, folks!